I have always been a skeptic. All this mysticism, ghosts, unexplained phenomena, nonsense for overly imaginative people. If something seems strange, there must be a logical explanation. That's what I thought, until I moved into this apartment. It was cheap, too cheap for its location. A quiet neighborhood, a spacious room, clean walls. The only thing that bothered me was the window. It faced a courtyard well, narrow, dark, and somehow wrong. It was always unnaturally silent, even during the day. No footsteps, no voices. On my first evening while unpacking, I thought I saw someone standing in the darkness outside the window, but I brushed it off. Probably just shadows playing tricks on me. I didn't know then that this was the first warning. I had been living there for a week. Everything seemed normal, except for one thing. The courtyard was always empty. Not a single person passed through it. And then it started. One night, I woke up to a knocking sound. Knock, knock, knock. I sat up in bed abruptly. The sound was coming from the window. I froze. My apartment was on the 3rd floor. There was no balcony, no ledge outside. What could be making that noise? Still, I gathered my courage and pulled back the curtain. There was nothing outside, just the empty courtyard, swallowed by shadows. I convinced myself I had imagined it. Maybe the wind, or old pipes. I was wrong. The knocking came again the next night. Knock, 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 slow, rhythmic, insistent. I looked out the window again. Nothing. But this time, I felt something, like there was someone standing just outside, but I couldn't see them. I ran my hand over the glass. It was freezing cold, though it was warm outside. Then I saw the prints, handprints. Someone had pressed their palms against the glass from the outside, right at my eye level. I stumbled back. A deep, primal fear gripped my chest, and then, within seconds, the handprints vanished, as if they had never been there. I decided to ask my neighbors, but as it turned out, I was the only tenant in the building. All the other apartments were either vacant or permanently sealed shut, except for one, on the 1st floor. An old man answered the door, tall, gaunt, with pale skin and empty eyes. He stared at me for a long moment before speaking. "You heard the knocking, didn't you?" I hesitated. "Yes." He sighed and shook his head. "Do not open the window, no matter what happens." "Why?" I asked. He shut the door without answering. The next night the knocking grew louder. Knock, knock, knock. This time it wasn't just knocking. It was like something was scratching at the glass with claws. I couldn't take it anymore. I was sure there was nothing there. It had to be the wind, birds, something. I made a mistake. I opened the window. Cold air rushed into the room. For a brief moment I felt relief. There was nothing outside. Then I looked down, and I saw hands. 2 pale, bony hands clung to the windowsill, as if someone was hanging onto the wall of the 3rd floor. Then they started to climb up. I slammed the window shut and yanked the curtains closed. But I heard it. A whisper from beyond the glass. "You opened it yourself. Now we know you can see us." I didn't sleep that night. The next morning I went back to the old man's apartment, but his unit was completely empty. I called the landlord, asked about him. "What old man?" The landlord sounded confused. "No one has lived on the 1st floor for 20 years. I hung up, and then I saw it. All the windows in the building were open, and behind the glass people were standing. Only, they weren't people. Their faces were blank. Smooth white skin, no eyes, no mouth, no nose, and they were all staring at me. I boarded up my window, ripped off the handle, sealed it completely shut, but I can still hear it. Knock, 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 every night. I know they're there. I don't look at the window anymore. But last night, I heard something new. A knock on my door. and a voice whispering from behind it. Open up. You've already done it once.